This nation is not good to its women, and we need to stop pretending that it is. We love to say we support women. We love the slogans. We love the illusion that this is some progressive pro-woman culture. It's not. Because if this country truly valued women, our reality would look very different. Let me take you for a painful walk down memory lane. White women finally won the right to vote in 1920. And yes, you heard me say white women, because real access for Black, Brown, and Indigenous women and other women of color wasn't until 1965 during the Voting Rights Act. White women couldn't own a home or property until the 1900s, and Black women couldn't own a home by law until the Fair Housing Act of 1968. Women couldn't have a checking or credit until 1974. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act. Women didn't have the right to not be raped by a spouse in all states in the United States until 1993. People will say, well, that was way back then. But sadly, I beg to differ. Let's start with some painfully obvious modern day examples. We still have never had a woman president, not once. Twice in my adult lifetime, women who were easily more prepared, more experienced, oh my God, more qualified, lost to Donald Trump. Let that sink in. They lost to Donald Trump. What does that say? And let's be clear what that means. These women who were so much more qualified in every way lost to a man who had been accused by multiple women of sexual assault and rape. He had been accused by a 13-year-old girl of rape. The case was taken and testimony from it was used in Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction. They lost to a man who was accused by a 13-year-old child of tying her up and raping her. It didn't stop him from running. It didn't disqualify him. In fact, it didn't really even slow him down. In the May 2023 civil trial regarding E. Jean Carroll's allegations, a federal jury found Donald Trump liable for sexual abuse and defamation. In August 2023, Judge Kaplan dismissed a countersuit from Trump, noting that the jury's verdict showed E. Jean Carroll's rape allegation was substantially true. And you know what's the most crushing to me is that white women voted him in every single time, knowing he's a convicted sex offender and knowing about the hidden evidence of his connection to the Epstein pedophile case. And for a tad more perspective when it comes to leadership, some of the Muslim majority countries that we're so quick to judge have already had scores of women leading their nation. If this country really valued women, we wouldn't have hundreds and thousands of women's rape test kits sitting collecting dust on shelves, untested. Think about that. Evidence of sexual assault and rape just sitting there, unprocessed, ignored, so serial rapists can continue doing what they do and go off and find another person to rape because they know their rape kit won't be processed either. I'm sorry, but that's not a system that values women. That's a system that perpetuates violence against women. If this country really valued women, rape wouldn't be treated like an inconvenience while survivors are questioned, doubted, and forced to relive their trauma, not believed, and knowing that there'll probably be zero to very little consequences for the violence. Today in the United States, there are some states that allow the rapist to share custody after they've done their time, of course. Jeffrey Epstein and his partners trafficked and abused children, underage girls, and the system looked the other way. Years and years later, when we finally had the Epstein files released to the public, they were 90% or more redacted, and not a single name of another rapist was revealed. But they did manage to keep unredacted many of the survivors' names, addresses, places of work, and phone numbers. 1 out of 4 young women sent to college is sexually assaulted. If this country valued women, we would be teaching boys and men one very simple thing: do not rape. But instead of fixing that, what do? We protect reputations, we protect institutions, we protect men. But instead, we teach women: watch your clothes, watch your tone, watch your flirtation, do not drink too much, watch your surroundings, watch your behavior, watch your body, watch your life, and do not get drunk. Watch your drink so you don't get roofied. We teach them another lesson too, and that is that if it hurts, if they freeze, if they're terrified, and they don't fight back enough, then somehow they are responsible for what was done to them. Did you know the most dangerous time for a woman in an abusive relationship is often when they try to leave? The responsibility is often placed on the potential victim instead of the perpetrator. She should have left. Sit with that for a minute. The risk of being killed by an abusive partner increases significantly when a woman tries to leave the relationship. 50% of all women in the United States who are murdered by a partner or spouse. If this country valued women, we would not allow our mothers to die in childbirth at rates that are completely unacceptable. And let's be clear, for Black women, it's even worse. They are far more likely to die in childbirth, regardless of their income, education, or economic status. This is not a coincidence. This is systemic failure. It's called systemic racism. If this country valued women, we wouldn't have taken away bodily autonomy. We wouldn't have taken away the right for women to make decisions about our own bodies. We wouldn't force women in medical emergencies to wait until they're closer to death before doctors are allowed to help them live. A woman can be bleeding out, in pain, in crisis, about to die, and she is told to wait. Wait until it gets worse. Wait until the infection spreads. Wait until you're a little more sick. Wait until you're dying enough. That's not care, that's cruelty. Policies have made it harder for women in the United States to be protected, harder for institutions to respond, and easier for harm to go completely unaddressed. And that matters, and it's not just in the United States. Look at the global reality. A woman in France was drugged by her own husband, videoed repeatedly being raped by dozens of men who her husband invited into their home. This doesn't happen in a vacuum. This happens in a world where women's bodies are seen as accessible, usable, and disposable. And in the news, we found out there are entire online spaces where men share, watch, and normalize violence against women. Most recently, CNN did a presentation exposing a horrifying reality that there are online communities where men drug their own partners, rape them, and film it and share it with other men on platforms. And these platforms are attracting tens of millions of visitors. So no, do not tell me this country values women. A country that values women would protect them in law, in hospitals, on campuses, in marriage, in homes, in courtrooms, in everyday life. But we don't. But instead, we ask women to survive the system that fails us. We ask them to endure, protect themselves, be quieter, be smarter, be safer, be more careful, while too many men are never required to examine their own behavior. And here's the truth that makes people very uncomfortable. Too many men still socialize and see women as objects. So until this country stops minimizing violence, ignoring evidence, failing mothers, controlling women's bodies, and stops protecting power over people, I do not want to hear another word about how we value women. This is what we call valuing women. It's killing us.